welcome to the Gentleman's Guide to Gaming and another focus on Trinity Continuum Steam Wars, which we have just funded as of time of recording on BackerKit. So if you were on the fence about supporting this campaign, you can now go in with the confidence that the traditional print run is going to be funded, and we are now, of course, marching towards stretch goals. So get involved in the comments as well, both here and on the BackerKit campaign. It's wonderful to see the campaign comment section lively, and if you can, share it wherever you will, because this book has got some fantastic art. It is, of course, more than just a role-playing game. It's a beautiful book of Larry Blamire's Steam Wars art as well. And as we know, this Trinity Continuum game originated with a graphic novel by Larry Blamire by the name of Steam Wars, and we have integrated it into the Trinity Continuum, and Larry has co-written the RPG. It has been a huge amount of fun to work on. And what I wanted to talk to you about in this video, having already spoken about the roles your characters can take in this game, I wanted to talk about the alliances. Now, I am a massive fan of the diplomacy board game, both diplomacy and colonial diplomacy. I know, and I have played in games where people fall out over diplomacy. Sometimes tensions can get high, people respond badly to deception and betrayal at the crucial moment. But there's something I really enjoy about the political aspect, the diplomatic aspect, clearly, the negotiating, the wheeling, dealing, lying of those board games. And it's something I wanted to get across in Steam Wars. So when I started writing the World Bible for the RPG, one of the aspects I had in mind was the system of alliances around the globe. Anyone watching who has any familiarity with the Great War will know that a lot of the alliances that led into 1914 were very much in flux. For the longest time, it appeared that Britain and Germany would be on the same side. It wasn't a surefire thing that France would get involved on the side of Russia. Austria, Hungary and Germany were not always the best of friends. Ottoman Turkey could have gone either way, and they were frankly opportunistic. So there were lots of ways that the Great War could have fallen, depending on the diplomatic arrangements that were made at any given time. Now, I again wanted that feeling to come across in Trinity Continuum Steam Wars too. We have a lot of nations across the world. Some are in their, I guess their death throes in the power blocks like Austria-Hungary and Ottoman Turkey. Others are still relatively new as major players on the world stage. America being preeminent among them. You have your old men of Europe who are holding fast, Britain and France. Of course, Germany, or Prussia in our game, is very much on that sort of new wave. And then you've got Imperial Russia, which is like an old dog that needs putting down. And we have expanded that, of course, to involve Japan, which is likewise trying to plant its foot on the world stage. Korea as well. We have likewise incorporated Romania, Bulgaria, and then addressed Spain, Italy, and to a degree, well, Ottoman Turkey as well. They're all involved. And then you have your neutral countries like Greece, like Portugal, like Switzerland, who are still key players in this entire global war. This is a world war in the Steam Wars before the First World War. And part of character construction in Trinity Continuum Steam Wars involves picking an alliance for your character. Now, clearly, an alliance isn't going to be something that most characters choose for themselves. This is something that's almost being imposed upon them by you, the player, or by the setup of the game. Where do your characters happen to be based? For whom do they intend to fight? But be sure that despite the fact your character might be, let's say, British, doesn't mean you can't be a character whose alliance is De Lance, because De Lance, while being an ostensibly Prussian, Scandinavian alignment, the spear tip in Northern Europe, your character could have sympathies, you could be a spy, You could be, a double agent. There's lots of reasons why someone's nationality doesn't necessarily impact the alliance to whom they serve, but it's very likely that the characters in Trinity Continuum Steam Wars will either share alliances or they will have alliances that aren't in conflict with each other. You may be sharing the same steam rig on behalf of 2 or maybe even 3 alliances, so that these possibilities exist in the game. As examples, so I mentioned Die Lance in the origins of Trinity Continuum Steam Wars. Prussia is one of the initial aggressors, following the Franco-Prussian War and the Austrian-Prussian War, which led to Prussia forming a nation state rather than Germany. So all of Germany, the rough area that Germany would traditionally occupy, is simply Prussia. That's where the center of government is. Prussia is largely responsible for the first Steam War, which just precedes the events in our RPG, where they marched across Russia. Well, they didn't just march across Russia, that would be incorrect. They assisted Russia in the construction of the Trans-Siberian Steam Railway, using condensed coal, using steam rig technology to improve and increase the speed at which the TSR was constructed. They did this with an aim to basically attack the ostensibly weak Japanese with their massive stashes of condensed coal. However, the war didn't necessarily go as Prussia anticipated. While they certainly accumulated some resources from this attack, it was not a complete victory. Shades of the Russo-Japanese War that would come in the real world. And so they were forced to retreat, likewise back across Russia, which is when Russia launched its attack. Russia, seen as a pre-industrial nation by most major powers at this time, surprised the Prussians by basically severing the TSSR, attacking them there and then, trying to seize everything that they had taken from the Japanese, and sending a lot of Prussians scuttling into the Arctic Circle, where most went missing or died, and of spares, some few may still be up there. There may be a secret Prussian Arctic base in this game. But that was the events of the First Steam War. It was largely concentrated in Eastern Europe, Asia, East Asia. And following that is when Die Lance is formed. Prussia turns to its northern neighbours, the Germanic Scandinavian states, looks to Denmark, Sweden, Norway, as a possibility to create a bulwark within Europe for its future designs. It doesn't want to be attacked from the north, after all. So we have Die Lance, who, come the Second Steam War, having written off the East as a lost cause, have decided they're going to attack the far West. There's no point for them feeling like they should be waging war on mainland Europe when they have the technology to cross oceans, to cross the Arctic Circle, and attack someone else. In this case, vulnerable Canada. East struck out, let's try West instead. Obviously, Canada, the Canadian Dominions, are part of the British Empire, so Britain responds poorly to this. And this is where you see one of the other major alliances of the game, the Iron Ring, where Britain, America, and Japan have formed this global circle of mutual defense. Ostensibly, they are the peacekeepers of the world. That's how they would like to style themselves. Mostly concerned with their own Northern Hemisphere territories, mind you. And the Die Lance is primarily at war with the Iron Ring. But that isn't where the alliances end, far from it. France and Russia, while they are more of a... they're not observers, but they are most definitely of a scavenger and saboteur style. This alliance of these two great powers could come to bear during the Second Steam War and really tilt the course that the war is going. That's the dual entente of France and Russia. Likewise, we have Fulcrum. Fulcrum is another alliance that involves Britain. America is very much, we're in there because we're friendly with Britain, but we're not actually in there, per se, which is Britain's alliance with very weak Austria-Hungary and strengthening Bulgaria. Now, when most people consider European war, they don't often think, unless they happen to be Austrian, Hungarian, or Bulgarian, what's going on in that part of the map. But in this case, Britain is very cautious about Austria seceding territory to the Prussians and giving them more resources, and likewise Austria, its fragile empire, does not really wish to see itself eroded. So Austria-Hungary forms a very uneasy alliance with Bulgaria, an equally uneasy alliance with the British Empire. The war that is fought there in mainland Europe, in that central European theatre, is very different to the one that's in Canada, where all hell is breaking loose, because this is a place where, for one thing, the British Empire are not deploying the best of the best. They're not deploying the heights of their technology. This is where their colonials, people from India, people from Africa, specifically South Africa, some Australians too, this is where they are being funneled in via the Suez Canal, and ultimately into the underbelly of Europe via friendly Greece. Greece is neutral, but Greece is still a friend to Britain, and enemy of the Ottomans, as with time immemorial. So Fulcrum and De Lance are likewise at war, though again it's a very different kind of war. And beyond that, indeed, we have the Confederation of the Sea. Now, the Confederation of the Sea is... they're not neutral, but again, they are kingmakers. None of the nations on their own are powerful, but together they form a very strong alliance that cuts off the Mediterranean and therefore intervenes in Britain's attempt to funnel troops into the Fulcrum. This is Spain, who are very weak at this time, Italy, who is still a very fragile new nation, and Ottoman Turkey. And they have, of course, various gaps along the Mediterranean line where people have declared neutrality, or where ports have been seized, or where France controls, and so forth. And then you've got Northern Africa, which, of course, also belongs to Spain, France, Britain, depending on which part you're looking at. But the Confederation of the Sea basically says, nope, we're locking down the Mediterranean. And we don't believe that the British Empire can expend nearly enough men or materiel to do anything about it. So it's another alliance that's on the map and could swing either way. Maybe they will be happy to be paid off. Maybe they will start eyeing up the African colonies and moving south. The long handshake also exists. Don't think Prussia is out of allies outside of Central Europe. They are very friendly with the Koreans, helping Korea against Japan, because they're aware Japan is offering a lot of aid to Britain and America in the Pacific, as well as to the British colonies in the Pacific and in East Asia. So Prussia has made secret communiques with Korea in this very, very new alliance. And then beyond the long handshake, you have a lot of neutral parties too. Your characters will have an alliance on their character sheet, and as I say, they don't all have to be mutual. You could have characters from the Dual Entente, the Iron Ring, and the Confederation of the Sea, arguably in the same group. You could have De Lance, the Long Handshake, and the Confederation of the Sea in the same group. The ones who are least likely, of course, are De Lance and the Iron Ring, though stranger things have happened. I think this is one of the most interesting parts of the game for me as a reader, because I love reading about history, I love all this stuff, and of course to write it was a great deal of fun too. I will love to hear your thoughts on the alliances and the alliance system in Trinity Continuum Steam Wars. It's more than just narrative fluff. These things qualify you for edges, and that's what, of course, set your characters apart from other characters, make them talented. So being a member of one alliance may qualify you for something or other, but also it provides a huge amount of setting material to your characters to really become part of the Trinity Continuum Steam Wars world. With that said, I will come back with another Steam Wars video next week, and I think next time we will concentrate on the rigs themselves, the Steam rigs, the war rigs, the part that a lot of people find the most attractive feature of Steam Wars. It will be lovely to finally delve in to rigs and how they are made. Thank you very much for watching.